Hey, hidden gems. I'm just trying to find a good spot where it's quiet, where there isn't generator sound. Can you guys hear me here? Is this pretty good? Because we've got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna say a lot. I'm a little nervous actually, but I'm gonna make sure people are here before I start. Is everybody here? Okay, all right. Hey guys, day 3 of the ALEC Baldwin Rust shooting trial. Yes, wild. What a day. What a day. The jurors have been dismissed. They have not been a part of this day, and it has been so wild. And forgive me, I'm putting on my sunglasses. You guys see my eyes, but it's a little bright for me. I'm having a hard time, so I have a bit of a headache. But you guys, so let's talk. It is a wild day. Defense, ALEC Baldwin's team is arguing that this case needs to be dismissed. And honestly, they are making, in my opinion, a very, very solid point and a very solid argument. And it goes back to what I sort of went on a rant about in yesterday's live. Where did the live rounds come from? Now, I did look at my comments. I wanted to see what people are saying. And a lot of people were saying, well, this was discussed in Hannah Gutierrez Reed's trial, where they came from. And it was Hannah that brought them on the set. And then someone else said, no, it was Val. And actually, the bottom line is, it hasn't been proven exactly where the live rounds came from in the investigation. And the defense is making a solid argument in there as to why it hasn't been proven. No investigator on the case, and you know, some of the one witness, of course, Marissa stated, "Don't call me that. I am a crime scene technician. I'm not an investigator." But they're continuing to question and debate with the witnesses, which are people that investigated the scene or were part of the investigation. And things seem, in my opinion, and this is Lauren's opinion, so that's what I'm saying, I'm nervous. What I can see and what they're bringing to the table as far as evidence goes, my opinion comes with the evidence presented to all of us, so it's not just on a whim evidence. The evidence that I've seen at trial leads me to form an opinion, and that opinion is that they cannot prove where the live rounds came from. And did those live rounds come from the supplier? And if the live rounds came from the supplier, then shouldn't the supplier be charged? And I'm not saying they did. Nobody can say. But if they did not figure this out, wouldn't the supplier be the reason to charge someone? If ALEC Baldwin thought he had a cold gun and was being directed as an actor in a film, producer or not, but he was told it was a cold gun, and they were and was then being directed and practicing a scene, doesn't the responsibility for this lie on the person that supplied the live ammos? And yes, and Hannah Gutierrez Reed, she was the armorer, and she's been charged and convicted, and actually she has the maximum sentence. She's spending 18 months behind bars, so that's taken care of. And I feel like this case does have to, and by the way, I'm not looking at the chat because I'm like afraid, because I'm taking a bit of a stand here, so I'll look in a little bit. But I feel like this case absolutely does have to do with what Dr. John said at the very beginning, that this is about placing blame. I think the one thing we can all agree on is that Helena Hutchins is a victim who should be alive today. And we want justice for Helena. I want justice for Helena Hutchins. And so I guess the question is also, what does that justice look like? What does that look like? Who can we blame? But if ALEC Baldwin was given a cold gun as a prop and was being directed, why was there live ammo in the gun? And did that come from the supplier? And did the investigators of this case in the Santa Fe Police Department figure that out? And if they didn't figure that out, who's to blame? And yes, you guys can say, well, Alec Baldwin broke a cardinal rule of gun safety. He pointed a gun at somebody and possibly, someone corrected me on comments yesterday, they were right. I can't say for a fact whether he pulled it or didn't. I don't know. He could have possibly pulled the trigger. And even if he didn't pull the trigger, he pointed it at someone. But let me ask you this. I'm thinking of movies around the world and how many of them have guns and how many actors are pointing guns at each other to create a movie. Movies are a bit of a unique situation where you break that cardinal rule a lot. Watch any Western or any action film with, guns. People are pointing them at each other. So this is indeed a cardinal rule, but movies seem to be the exception to this cardinal rule. So if that's the case, and movies are the exception to this cardinal rule, and he was an actor being directed, and he was told that it was a cold gun, why were there live rounds in the gun? And that's why you hire people, and that's why you have suppliers. And I'm sorry for anyone I'm offending right now. This is a channel where we agree to disagree, because I'll also tell you something else. That in this day and age, as a journalist, you know what frightens me more than anything? When it comes to information and how quickly it's disseminated out there, that we all want an echo chamber, and that if you don't give people the echo chamber they want, they leave and they say, you're wrong, I disagree with you, and I will cancel you, and I will never come back, and I am going to disregard you forever. And John and I want to create a space where we're not an echo chamber, but where we can all agree to disagree with one another, and where we can all, have voice for one another, and listen to one another, and hear one another, and feel safe. And we're a little bit idealistic. I agree. We've had times where we've jumped on a very polarizing case and shared what we thought in the most gentle way possible, and we lost thousands of subscribers, actually. I think some of you probably know what that case is. I'm not even going to bring it up. And so if people are disagreeing with me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I can't always be an echo chamber, and I'm not going to be one right now. Trust me, I thought long and hard before going live and telling you my thoughts about this. Because I didn't know if I want to do, but I came on to report neutrally, and I'm sharing the opinions I've gathered since listening to the evidence so far. Change my mind. My mind can be changed. My mind can be changed. That's where I am. Let me tell you a few other things going on that I want to clear up. One major thing. There was a lot of clickbait yesterday about Alec Baldwin storming out of the room. And let me tell you the backstory there. I was not in the courtroom when he stormed out. I did have friends and sources in the courtroom, and I'll tell you what they saw and heard. One in particular heard. You see where I'm sitting. That's where my sources are. We're very close, and we can hear things. I was in the press room, but the moment I saw him walk out, because it did look shocking, when Alec Baldwin quickly seemed to rush out of the courtroom yesterday, I left the courtroom or the press room as quickly as I could and ran up into the hallway of the courtroom. And I saw Alec Baldwin rushing to the restroom. And then I waited there. And I waited, and then the moment he came out of the restroom, Alec Baldwin walked directly back to the courtroom, directly, didn't even take a detour, straight back to the courtroom. And as he was walking back to the courtroom, an attorney or someone on his team handed him that coffee-looking cup with a lid. We don't know what was in it, could have been water. Handed it to him. He said, "Thank you," didn't stop walking into the courtroom and walked back to his seat. He did not leave to get the coffee, and he did not leave because he was angry. And what did my sources hear? They saw Alec Baldwin turn to his attorney on the right and say, I need to use the restroom right now. Alex Spiro, his main defense attorney, did not hear that, and he looked very shocked on the pool camera, going, where did he just go? Because he turned to the attorney to his right, who told him to leave and go. And that is what happened. So when you see that clickbait, now you know the story. I was in the hallway. I'm telling you what I saw. And my sources, you see where I'm sitting in the courtroom. That's where my sources are, and that's what they heard. They heard absolutely Alec Baldwin turn and say to his attorney, I need to use the restroom right now. So there you go. And then I saw him being handed the coffee cup with a lid. I don't know what it was. Coffee, water, whatever. Another thing, a lot of people are talking about the chaos in the courtroom. And you know what? Today there was chaos. It was pretty wild. And I thought it was really interesting when Prosecutor Morrissey, for example, handled the bullet evidence after they had been so careful about gloves. And then Alex Spiro jumped up and said, don't touch the evidence. And her response was, these have been rolling around for 3 years. I mean, there's a lot of like shocking comments by I would say, the defense and the prosecution, and it's been a wild day today. But overall, I want to say that things on the pool camera in Court TV might look a little bit more chaotic than they look to us in the courtroom. For example, I'm looking at the perspective points of reference on the camera and what's being shown on the pool camera that Court TV has in there, opposed to what it is. There's about 6 feet of space between the prosecution table and the defense table. On Court TV's camera, it looks like they're almost touching. Another thing that I think it makes it look really chaotic in there is that the sound is so good. We call it nat sound in broadcasting, nat sound, natural sound. Not the voices, but just the pickup of what's going on. In nature, it's natural. You know, the bugs, the air, the generators, the papers rustling. The nat sound on the microphones is so good in that courtroom that you hear all the rustling of the papers, all of everything sort of going on, almost like heightened, almost like you're wearing a hearing aid, hearing everything. But when you're sitting in the courtroom, you don't hear all of that. You just hear the voices. And so I think those are 2 things that are making it seem maybe a little bit more chaotic. But I'll tell you, you guys are getting the real live experience, and this is not Judge Boyce's courtroom. So those are a couple little things that I wanted to share and answer. I think that Alec Baldwin was likely scapegoated in this investigation. I'm going to talk to Dr. John about it, and I am willing to change my mind. What do I think is going on up there right now? I don't know. I don't know if they would be able to dismiss charges if they can't figure out where the live rounds came from, and I don't think anyone knows. They're certainly creating doubt as to where the live rounds came from. You know, we've heard different testimony throughout Hannah Gutierrez Reed's trial about where the live rounds came from, and it seemed pretty certain that they came from Hannah. But we've got a lot of people and a lot of questions, and I have a lot of questions about this investigation now. The defense has done a great job, in my opinion, and increasing doubt. They've certainly increased my doubt and increased my thoughts that could Alec Baldwin be a scapegoat here? It's confusing. Could this have been litigated? What does justice look like? And let me be very clear. I want justice for Helena Hudgens. I've thought a lot about this. I don't know what that looks like. And I want to talk to Dr. John about it. You know, to me, there's a fine line between, not a fine line, there's a big line, but, you know, is it justice or is it revenge? And that's something I always ask inside my mind. You know, because justice is a philosophical idea, something we want, something that people deserve, something we believe in when it comes to the justice system. And, you know, revenge is wanting someone else to suffer and hurt in return for what reason? I'm not even talking about the Baldwins, I'm just talking about things I think about and what this case brings up and the philosophical ideas that this case brings up for me, that I think Helena's death was most likely an accident. I still want to know where those live rounds came from. And we want to place blame, understandably, because this should have never happened. And it was the negligence, I think, of several people, probably including ALEC Baldwin. I'm not taking away negligence or the way he ran his team as producer, or the intimidation factor that might have been there for Hannah, or the way people walked out on set. I do think ALEC Baldwin holds a lot of responsibility. But what does that look like? I wonder if up there they're negotiating a plea. Could they be suggesting that, you know, they minimize the charges? Are there lesser charges? Does it need to be involuntary manslaughter? Can it be, you know, another type of negligence? You know, I'm not going to pretend I know all the names of, you know, all the different charges that could be possible, but could they lessen the charges up there? I don't know. I don't know. So that's where I am, and that's what I'm thinking. Hey, Matt, want to say hi?
Yeah, hey everybody. Isn't she the greatest? One of the best true crime bloggers, reporters out there. And such a pleasure to see her at another courthouse, because remember, we covered the Daybell trials together, and now we're covering Baldwin. I wish you all well, a safe weekend, and I love this lady.
Thank you, Matt. I'll pay you later. Taco Bell, right? You want a Taco Bell as a favor? Yeah, thank you. That was very kind. That was not expected. Thank you, Matt. Anyway, there you go. Sorry if you need to unsubscribe, everyone. I understand it, or take a breather from me and my opinions. I get it. And argue with me in comments. Usually I say, argue with the debate, not the person. Go at me in comments. I can take it today, because I went a little rogue. So go for it. All right, guys, I'm heading back in, and I joked with Matt Johnson about Taco Bell because I actually did Uber some Taco Bell. So I'm gonna go eat myself a chicken quesadilla, and it should be arriving soon, and I need to get off my phone so I can check when the Uber Eats arrives. So guys, I'll see you back in court. I think that it's going to be a really, really big mystery as to what happens next, and I have never been more curious. The jury has been sent home for the weekend. Maybe we'll be sent home too, or maybe we'll get some more wild moments in court. To be determined. We'll see. Oh, and tonight I will be on Banfield News Nation, so tune in. That's where I'm going to be going live on Love Ashley Banfield. Love her entire team, actually. They're so great. So I'm going to go jump on there. So I'll see you tonight on Banfield. We'll see you guys. Bye.